listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. Radio's authority on the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology, celebrating 25 years of broadcasting around the world and to the great beyond.
The X-Zone radio and TV show is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X-Zone radio and TV show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, Relmar McConnell Media Company, the X-Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, or employees.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Welcome one and all to the X-Zone. My name is Rob McConnell, and for the next 4 hours, I am your host. I am your guide as together we cross the time-space continuum to this place that I call the X-Zone. It's a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. It's a place where fact is fiction and fiction, well, turns out to be reality. And we come to you Monday through Friday right here on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, Talkstar Radio Network, and in Europe on Radio X. My email address is xzone@xzoneradio.com. On all social media sites, X-Zone Radio TV, and our radio website where you can find out what we've been up to, what we're doing today, and where we plan on being tomorrow at www.xzoneradio.com. Frank RIGILLO is my guest this hour. He is a New Jersey native who has studied paranormal activities, the occult, and hauntings for nearly 25 years. He has participated and conducted large-scale location hauntings and small private homes and businesses, both domestically and internationally. His paranormal studies stem from several experiences with the unknown, including witnessing full-body apparitions. These experiences continued beyond childhood and to adulthood, where he has lived in a home that was haunted by 3 entities. This is when he resolved to learn as much as possible about the paranormal phenomenon to determine what exactly was making contact with him and with others who claimed to have been contacted from the other side. And Frank, welcome to the X-Zone.
Hey, nice to be here, Rob. you for having me.
Tell me, Frank, did you ever find out who those three entities were and why they were haunting you?
Well, actually, the three entities. One was had to be a woman because I always felt very warm feeling
Mm-hmm.
from her when I was in the kitchen area, and smelled some floral perfume. The other two I could not identify, except the fact that one of them, I believe, lived in the 1940s because they would constantly turn the radio on to a big band era station.
So tell me, Frank, in your opinion, why do certain spirits stay behind and why do other spirits cross into the light and they don't bother anyone?
Well, ghosts. Ghosts are actual entities that do not pass into the light. They can stay around for different reasons. It could be themselves. The person who dies is
Mm-hmm.
confused and doesn't realize that the light is for them. Other times it could be a dramatic death or regrets that can leave a recently deceased person not willing to cross over or not realizing that they should. They can stay for reasons like, for instance, I'll give you an example. One reason would be if a grandmother passes and their daughter, her mother passes, their daughter is having a child before they have the child, and the spirit wants to stay around to see that child being born, make sure everything's okay with the daughter and the child. That's one example. Other examples are a tragic death, died too short, unfinished business. There's quite a few reasons.
So it would sound as if that some of these ghosts are actually intelligent, and the only difference between them and us is that they're ghosts, and we're humans.
Absolutely, they are intelligent. There are intelligent hauntings. Intelligent hauntings are hauntings that the spirit knows its surrounding, what's going on, and try to communicate.
Mm-hmm.
They just exist on a different plane.
And how many different types of hauntings are there?
Oh, there's quite a few. There's residual hauntings. There's intelligent hauntings, which we just talked about.
Mm-hmm.
There's poltergeist hauntings. Those are three of the main ones that I've run into.
All right, stand by, Frank. You and I have to take a break at the bottom of, I'm sorry, not at the bottom of the hour, but right now, our first break. Exonation Frank RIGILLO is our special guest, and his website is www.specterseekers.com. That's www.specterseekers.com, and we'll both be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. The X Zone, a place where people dare to believe, dare to be heard, Monday through Friday, right here on the Mutual Broadcast Network, X Zone Broadcast Network, Talkstar Radio Network, and in Europe on Radio X.
Afterlife expert Roberta Grimes was the first one to say that dying can be fun. Now her best-selling book, The Fun of Dying, is available in stores worldwide. So if you wonder whether death ends life, how it feels to die, or what heaven might be like, The Fun of Dying was written for you. And if you have always been afraid of death, or if you worry that your life has no meaning, let The Fun of Dying ease your fears and bring new meaning to your life. Nothing said in The Fun of Dying is based on the teachings of any religion. Instead, Roberta draws on evidence to explain how death happens, how it feels, and what comes next. A lot of the best death-related evidence was produced in the first half of the 20th century. When it is put together with recent discoveries, it tells a consistent and amazing story. Roberta Grimes blogs and answers questions at robertagrimes.com. Her wonderful book, The Fun of Dying, is available on Amazon and at stores worldwide wherever books are sold. You're listening to the X Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
While science pursues fact, magic accesses the quantum level, bridging random facts to form truth. As long as science and magic remain separate and polarized, the truth cannot be known. I'm Wilda Wiecka. Join me on the Science of Magic radio program dedicated to unification and evolution of consciousness. During each episode, I'll be speaking with experienced and respected scientists and mystics. From astrologers to astronomers, from medical doctors to shaman, the scientific method to dowsing and intuition, we will weave together information from seemingly divergent practices to promote unity and enlightenment. Join me, Wilda Wiecka, and the Science of Magic right here on the X Zone Broadcast Network. For more information, visit www.thescienceofmagic.net.
Linnea Starr began to demonstrate a metaphysical connection to the spirit world as a little girl. Her family noticed the connection, but it was a great-grandmother who told the family that Linnea was indeed gifted. The great-grandmother, who was also gifted, felt that Linnea had indeed inherited these attributes. It has been noticed that oftentimes such things are passed down through the generations. Linnea was also born with a caul, a thin white membrane across a newborn's face. Legend has it that if the baby is born with this caul, the child will have second sight, or what we call psychic abilities. Linnea Starr does past, present, and future, and has the gift of prophecy. It is written within scriptures that if you are able to give factual information and prophecies indeed come true, the gift indeed comes from the divine realm. Linnea Starr does large interactive groups as well as private gatherings. For more information on Linnea Starr or to contact Linnea for a one-on-one consultation, visit her website at www.linneastar.com. That's www.linneastar.com. Frank Rigillo is our guest to this hour, X Zone Nation. His website is specterseekers.com. Frank, what's the difference between a ghost and a spirit?
Well, the difference between a ghost and spirit, Rob, is I'm going to try to simplify my explanation and try not to get too technical. A spirit is a person who has died and has crossed over to the light. A lot of mediums use the terms like crossed over or crossed over into the light, and some people know what those terms mean, but some don't. So for those who don't, there's a quick and simple explanation. Crossing into light means that when a person dies, they pass quickly through the passage of light into the spirit world or spirit realm.
Right.
Once they pass into the spirit world and through the light, they become a spirit. The light is it's just a doorway, Rob, or a passage, corridor that guides the deceased into the afterlife. A spirit can be a visitational spirit who goes back and forth, passes, through the door to the spirit realm to visit their friends and family behind.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a ghost, or ghost, another term, which is a person who has died, but for some reason or another has not chosen to cross over into the light and go into the spirit world. The reasons can vary from person having died so quickly that they don't realize they're dead, so they don't cross over, like they should, and sometimes need a bit of help to do so, or can, after a short time, realize that they are dead and do cross over themselves. Sometimes a person dies and is confused and doesn't realize that the light is for them to go into. Other times, traumatic deaths or regrets can leave a recently deceased person not willing to cross over or not really realize that they should. Those that don't cross over are known, Rob, as ghosts, and at times are also referred to as bounded or grounded ghosts. And these terms are used in certain cases of ghosts depending on the reasons for not crossing over after they died.
Since you've been investigating the paranormal, what has been your most scariest experience?
Wow, most scariest experience was, I have to say, when I was investigating in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. I was in a well-known haunted bed and breakfast in Gettysburg,
Mm-hmm.
and I had all my equipment set up at night. And after long days of investigation on the grounds outside, I was tired, so I set everything up, and I have all my equipment set up on remote. So if anything wakes me in the middle of the night, I can just hit a remote, and all the cameras would flash off, and I have the video going. It was about 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm laying there, and I kind of tossed and turned. I was a little uncomfortable. I turned to my side, and I felt someone sit on the edge of my bed. Okay, thinking nothing of it. All of a sudden, I felt whatever was there lay down next to me. So I reached for my remotes, and I tried to press all my equipment, just would not fire off. Nothing would come on. And then I felt the presence just lay on top of me, a very heavy, and it just completely froze me. I know it sounds a little bit nutty, but it's what happened. And it completely, I could not speak. I could not do anything. It just, until it passed through me. Then I sat up, and I was cold, sweating, and it was the best experience I ever had. And that was the most frightening.
So how do you explain that? How do you explain what happened?
Well, what happened that night, I went downstairs to the innkeeper, and I actually kind of hesitated. I was telling them what was happening.
Mm-hmm.
And she said that, well, that's not unusual. We get that a lot, because at the time, that was a porch that was overseeing Culp Hill. So when the Confederates were attacking, there was a sniper up there that was shooting at them, but then he in turn got killed. And since that day, haunts that room.
Why do the ghosts in Gettysburg stick around? Like with all the ghost tours that go through there, all the people who are inquisitive. You'd think that the ghosts would get fed up and just say, to hell with this, I'm going.
Rob, there was so many deaths within that short amount of time. 3 days, over 76,000 casualties and deaths. And I really believe that it was because a lot of these soldiers were very young, and they died suddenly and tragically. And like I explained that before, they're not ready to cross over, or they won't accept the fact that they're dead. So they stick around as if they're living their lives, or they're waiting for some loved one to come by, or they're looking for loved ones.
But when it comes to ghost research, we're dealing with conjecture here. We're not dealing with fact, because we really don't know.
We don't, Rob. There's no scientific proof that ghosts do exist.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been involved in quite a few years, and I can tell you there's something's going on. So whether to say it's a ghost or not is out for debate. But I've experienced quite a lot of phenomenon and seen a lot of phenomenon.
Do believers experience this phenomenon more than non-believers do?
I've had people who are non-believers come on an investigation, and they very quickly become believers.
But if they're not believers, why would they go on an investigation?
Because they want to try to disprove what we believe. They're very skeptical. So they want to come and sort of like poke fun at what we do. And I said, hey, I have no problem. Come on an investigation with me, and we'll see how far you get. So quite a few times I've turned non-believers to believers. Actually, I have two on my team who were not believers at one time, and now they're part of my investigative team.
How many members are there on your team?
I have currently 6 members.
Are all historical battlegrounds as busy when it comes to paranormal activity as Gettysburg?
That's a good question. I know I've been to Gettysburg, and I know that's very active. I've also heard that other battlegrounds in the area are also active. But I think it depends on how the battle came about, and how many people were killed, which would tell you how haunted it is.
What about the cavalry versus the Native Americans? Let's take a look at Little Bighorn. I don't hear any stories when it comes from the ghost or the paranormal investigators when it comes to any of the battles between the U.S. cavalry and the Native Americans, and yet it seems that every Civil War battlefield is just overflowing with ghosts. And I was wondering if there was an explanation for that.
That's a good question. I have heard of some stories of the Little Bighorn and some EVPs being taken where they've heard some charges or forces in the area. I really don't have the answer to that, Rob. I can't explain it.
Just like in Pearl Harbor. There we have a massive attack, 3,000 people who died. We have the Twin Towers in New York City, 9/11. Bang, a lot of people died there in a very short period of time, and yet I don't hear stories of hauntings from these two locations. And I wonder why. Is it because that there are so many people who go to Gettysburg looking for these, and they anticipate and they're expecting these paranormal experiences to occur, that they happen, where the other places throughout the United States and around the world where there were more people killed than in Gettysburg, there doesn't seem to be the fascination or the amount of activity as Gettysburg gives?
Well, I know that I think one of the reasons why 9/11 you have a lot of people haven't heard of the kind of hauntings 9/11. I in my opinion, is because of the location of 9/11 being in New York City is such a busy place. There's a lot of contamination, noise contamination, and lights. And,
yeah,
but who would really be allowed to investigate a 9/11 area in the first place? I think it would be a little difficult to do that. And if you did, you'd get a lot of contamination from the busy streets.
But wait a sec. If you guys are using electronic equipment and modern day technology, what difference should that the busyness make if you're going after stuff that comes up on infrared or any of the other parameters that researchers use?
Well, infrared would be one good. Infrared would be a good source to look at. But when you're talking about EVPs, you would never be able to get an EVP. If you did, there would be too much contamination in the background.
But EVPs aren't the proof positive of anything. Like,
Nope.
I've heard so many people come on the show with EVPs and they get so excited. They say, can you hear it? Can you hear it? Can you hear it? And I say, no, I can't. And neither can our listeners. It seems once again that EVPs are subjective.
I have a lot of EVPs, Rob, that are very, very clear, and there's no doubt that it is a voice that is not one of the people in the room who have been doing the recordings.
But what about the new theory being put out by neuroscientists that EVPs can actually be thought projection from the person or the persons who are in the immediate area of the recording device?
That's subjective. If you've been involved in EVP recordings, and I just don't believe that. Sorry, Rob.
Well, and yet you expect people to believe that EVPs are ghosts. So I don't understand why there is such a decisive response when we talk about science saying, that, listen, EVPs may be nothing else but thought projection of the people within the room.
Okay, well, that's what people believe, and I respect their opinion.
Yeah.
And if you hear any of my EVPs that I've had, which are very clear and pronounced, you might have a second opinion.
Are these intelligent answers that you're getting? Are you asking a question, getting an answer? Are you asking for the identification of who these voices are? Or are they just random statements?
We do get specific answers. For instance, if we say, I will ask a question, did you pass away in this house? And we'll get an answer very clear, yes.
Well, that's a subjective question. You're in a house, you're doing a ghost investigation, you say, did you pass away in this house?
We've also asked questions, why are you here?
Mm-hmm.
And we've got answers like looking, or mother, or something to that effect.
Okay. You and I have to take our news break at the bottom of the hour. Please stand by. X-Zone Nation, Frank RIGILLO is our special guest of this hour. He is with Spectre Seekers in New Jersey. Their website is www.spectreseekers.com. And we'll be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Tell me, X Zone Nation, are you a believer or are you a skeptic? Send me an email, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, and we'll be back on the other side of this break. Don't go away.
Wouldn't you love to know the secret to everything? Well then, meet Dr. Kimberly McGeorge and her cutting-edge breakthrough knowledge that combines science with possibility. Dr. Kimberly brings real-life answers and healing to those open to alternative solutions. She teaches solution-based programs and classes that will change all areas of your life forever. Specializing in conscious creation, intuitive readings, and energy medicine, you can rapidly shift health, relationships, business, and money and abundance challenges quickly. Receive her best-selling book, Secret to Everything, at no cost by going to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone. That's right, transformation can start now. Just go to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone and receive Dr. Kimberly's book for free.
You're listening to the X Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. Thomas Jefferson was a Burgess of 27 when he met Martha Wales Skelton, a 22-year-old widowed heiress who was fondly called Patty by her family. They were married on January the 1st, 1772, and they took up residence in a cabin on the building site on top of a Virginia mountain that Thomas had named Monticello. As Thomas and Patty slowly built their first version of the great house at Monticello, the Revolutionary War was heating up. Patty, with difficulty, bore 5 children, but only 2 girls survived. Thomas's political career developed to the point where he was often away from home, but after he authored and signed the Declaration of Independence in Philadelphia, he resolved never again to leave his wife. He was elected the governor of Virginia, just as that state became the Revolution's last battleground. The Revolutionary War ended in 1781, and Thomas gladly retired altogether to my family, my farm, and my books. But Patty continued to want to bear her treasured husband a son, and late in the summer of 1782, she died of kidney failure at the age of 33, 4 months after having borne yet another girl. Thomas was so devastated by her death that he never remarried. He mourned her for the rest of his life, even as he helped to frame the peace in France and then became the first Secretary of State, the second Vice President, and the third President of the United States. This story is true. Thomas Jefferson was such an obsessive letter writer and record keeper that we know where he was and what he was doing nearly every day of his adult life. Every significant thing he says in My Thomas comes from his contemporary writings. My Thomas by Roberta Grimes is now available at Barnes & Noble, Costco, Target, Books A Million, Hudson Booksellers, Kmart, Walmart, Sam's Club, Walgreens, CVS, and online at Amazon.com. You can visit Roberta Grimes online at www.robertagrimes.com.
The scientist and the mystic have been on an age-old, relentless search with one thing in common. They seek truth. Their paths converge in the 40,000-year-old practice of shamanism, an ancient science delving to the quantum level of life, facilitating healing, manifestation, and evolution. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka, the founder and director of Path Home Shamanic Arts School, a unique Colorado State-certified occupational school, training shamanic practitioners and teachers. We also provide classes for empowering personal lives through shamanism. Our certification classes are in week-long segments enabling international participation, and online classes and long-distance shamanic healing sessions are available. Come discover the science of magic in the limitless world of shamanism. www.findyourpathhome.com.
Unwilling to be the government's deadly assassin, gifted psychic Kahara Mitchell went AWOL and ended up buried under rubble in the wake of a great tsunami. She regained consciousness far from Earth on the medical ship of a Daguerrean intergalactic fleet. Has she been rescued or abducted by aliens? The Chalice of Carrie, Kahira O'Donnell's latest paranormal science fiction romance, is the passionate story of an Earth woman and her destined mates, twin kings from another galaxy. Kahara uses her gifts fighting alongside Lords Rom and Ra in a war that will determine the destiny of galaxies. The Chalice of Carrie by Kahira O'Donnell is now available at KahiraO'Donnell.com or at Amazon.com.
You're listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. What Happened in Benghazi is revealed by Nicholas Genix, author of Obama, Islam, and Benghazi. He informs the American people that President Obama deceived them by advocating a strong foreign policy prior to the 2012 presidential election, and Hillary Clinton supported this deception. As the title infers, there is a connection between Obama, Islam, and Benghazi. Ample evidence informs Americans that Obama's early indoctrination in the Quran developed an affinity for Islam, why the Quran is the source of discontent in many countries, and why the Obama foreign policy deception led to poor military action and caused the loss of American lives in Benghazi. Genix provides 36 questions for the Select Committee on Benghazi to validate if Americans are justified to mistrust President Obama and Hillary Clinton. An overview of Obama, Islam, and Benghazi is presented on the website www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com. Annie Callahan, dedicated to negotiating a position for Earth within the Daguerrean Coalition, had trained for 3 years to become an Earth ambassador. Yet, the very eve of her arrival at the capital ruling planet, she is claimed as destined mate to an oversized, mating-maddened vamp who swears he will never release her. Lord Aztaran, king of the Macian sector, has waited over 900 years for his destined mate. Having found her as an alpha vamp, he is unable to relinquish Annie, virtually holding her hostage until he can claim her. Yet Macians cannot survive without their mate's love. How could he strip her of her citizenship, her ambassadorship, and her freedom and expect to win her heart? With All That I Am by Kahira O'Donnell is the latest book in this exciting series, The Daguerrean Chronicles, guaranteed to keep readers coming back for more. With All That I Am by Kahira O'Donnell is available on Amazon.com and KahiraO'Donnell.com.
Welcome back, everyone. This is the X-Zone. I am Rob McConnell. Frank Rigillo is our special guest this hour. www.specterseekers.com. Frank, what is the ultimate goal of going to these haunted locations where people already have established that there is paranormal activity? Why do people keep going back?
I think people could go back, just like myself, just to prove the existence the spirits that are there, the ghosts that are there, and maybe get some more activity and some additional findings to prove the existence of their presence.
Has anybody ever suggested that by going back to these places where the spirits of the deceased are, that this could be in some way looked at as being disrespectful to the dead?
It could, but we take every effort to be respectful where we go. We get permission everywhere we go. I don't advise anyone to do anything disrespectful, like go to a cemetery or a tombstone or and go there without permission and be disrespectful. I mean, they are spirits. They were living in one time, and I think they deserve the respect that you can give them.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's those who are alive who have something to gain from the paranormal activity, and those who seek the research into it, who are giving the permission and not the dead. I've often wondered what the spirits actually think about them being used as entertainment or as the focus of pseudoscientific investigation.
Well, we do when we go. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I didn't say anything.
Okay, when we go on investigations, we just do it purely for research. And I understand the question. What did the ghosts think? That's a good question. We don't know what they think, but I do know that some investigations have gone on where that the clients have said that they're very active, and we've gone and we have found nothing. Unfortunately, we can't call a ghost out on cue. I wish we could. We don't try to intimidate them or antagonize them. We don't want to get them upset because when we leave, we don't want the client to be to get more harassed, if that's the case, by the spirit that was there. And sometimes we have ghosts that are just very willing to communicate with us, and they want to try to communicate, so we understand why they're there, or maybe we can help them.
Why are people called who ask for assistance or verification that something is going on in their house clients? A client is someone who pays for a service and gets the service in return for payment.
I've always called them clients. I mean, we don't charge for anything, but I really haven't come up with a term what else to call them. I mean, they're people, clients. I can't call them customers because, again, like you said, they don't pay for a service. But I think clients is the most professional term at this point I would use.
How many of the cases that you and the rest of your teams have investigated were actually caused by those who reside in the house where the haunting is taking place, whether it be through some unknown neurolinguistic method or through a psychosomatic adventure of one of the people living there?
We've done quite a few private homes that we've realized that they were, through communications, were passed through either family members or past residents of the homes that had lived there quite a few years ago.
All right, but let me ask you. Maybe I didn't ask the question the right way. How many of the establishments where you have been called in to do an investigation with the rest of your team has turned out to have nothing to do with the paranormal? That it was all in the mind of the person who contacted you people?
Okay, we've come across a few of those. We did one a few months ago where we got called and pre-qualified somebody on the phone and sounded sincere. We went there and realized that the woman was a complete nutcase. Sorry, and we were wasting our time.
Yeah.
And, so we did ended the investigation, shorter period, not to offend her or insult her. And then we told her, I would get back to her with any findings. Of course, we had no findings to get back to her with. And we ended it.
There are 6 members of your team. What does each member do during the course of an investigation?
Well, one member will do an interview with the client, and they will get information, the background information, what they've heard, where it's occurred, what time, as much information, family information as possible. While I will go through the house with the other client. Hopefully, there's two of them, and they will point out where the active spots were. So give me an idea of where I could set my cameras and equipment prior to the initial investigation. And then we have a person who actually runs the wires,
Right.
and sets up the equipment, and we get it all ready. And then we, as a team, we will go and split up, depending upon how large the property is or the house, and we'll split up into two groups. And we'll do separate sections of the property and then switch.
Does anybody take into consideration the structural integrity of the property or the history of the property?
Absolutely. We take and consider the history of the property, whether it has, what type of heating system it has, whether it has hot water, forced hot air, or air conditioning, whether it's on or not.
Right, right.
Where the property is located, is there a river nearby, how old the property is, and I look around the house to see what the condition of the house is as well. I walk around the house to see if there's any creaks or anything that could cause any noise. We go in with a very skeptic approach. We don't say that every little bang and knock is or creak is a haunting. We try to rule out what it possibly could be, and if there's nothing we can explain, then it would be paranormal.
Do you guys deal in demonic investigations as well?
Absolutely not. I don't put my team in any kind of demonic investigation. I try to keep my team away from that and safe, because we just don't deal in any of that demonic investigations. And if we do get what sounds like demonic investigation, we'll refer to their local clergy or whatever faith they believe in to try to handle it that way.
Why?
Well, we just don't want it's something that that my faith I just don't want to go near. I mean, because there have been stories and also discussions out there that they can be possessive, and they can attach themselves to you, and you take them home with you, and that I don't want to happen.
Well, isn't it possible that during the non-demonic type of investigations that you do, that you may actually bring something home with you as well?
I haven't. Over my 25 years, I haven't. We do an opening prayer prior to an investigation, and the closing prayer after the investigation, to try to make sure that nothing follows us when we leave. And like I said, we're very respectful of the spirits. And after 25 years of my experience, I've never had one leave the premises or try to follow me home.
Wouldn't the prayers that you use at the opening and the closing when you're dealing with non-demonic entities work with demonic entities as well?
I don't believe so, because demonic entities are usually they're demonic. A demon is a spirit who's never been in human form, and they mock the religion, and so they would not hold any kind of prayer, any kind of confidence. They would disregard any kind of prayer. So they would just laugh at it. So that's my feeling. That's my opinion.
So then why would an exorcist have success using a crucifix, using holy water, using prayer? How come they can have success?
They have a strong faith. They have the church behind them. It's hard to explain. Like I said, I'm not a demonologist.
Somebody wants to see a ghost. How can they see one?
How can they see a ghost if they want to see one? That's a good question. Well, they can try to do one of their own investigations. If they know of any area or houses that may be haunted, or to friends or relatives. But that's a hard question to answer. I mean, can they come on an investigation with me? No, not unless they're a member of the team, for legal reasons. When
you guys go into a house, speaking about legal reasons, do you carry any type of insurance so that if you're there and you guys accidentally break something or something goes awry, that the homeowner is covered?
We carry personal liability insurance. We also carry. We also sign waivers with the client, and the client is also signs a waiver giving us permission during a certain time frame to invest their properties, and they are aware that if any one of us get hurt, they are not responsible for anything that happens. Also, if anything is broken, that we are not responsible. So it's pretty detailed, the waiver that they sign, and they're okay with it. And
geez, I was just going to ask you something and it kind of slipped right by. Well, oh yeah, why do you think there's so much interest in the paranormal still today?
I think it's because it's people like to know what they don't understand.
Well, if that's the case, they can start looking at the stars. They can look at the ocean. You know, they don't have to worry about the dead.
That's true. That's true. I don't know why there's so. I've always had interest. Over 25 years, I've had interest, and recently, I think with one of the most biggest reality shows that's on when it has to do with ghost hunting, that has started a trend. I think about more people getting interested, but the reality shows to me are not very real. But I think it sparked the interest over the years. With more and more people being interested in the paranormal or the study of hauntings.
There's a new Ghostbuster movie coming out, Four Ladies. How do you think this movie is going to affect the ghost hunting scenario like the original Ghostbusters did?
I think both those films. I mean, they're funny because they're meant to be funny, but I think they mock the true spirit of ghost hunting and.
Well, what is the true spirit of ghost hunting? That's an excellent point. What is it?
Just in search of the truth, Bob. I mean, that's what it is. That's why we do it. We want to try to find out: is our ghosts real, and is there another side? Do we move on after we die?
But you look at what. The majority, I'm speaking about the majority of Ghostbusters here. I'm not talking about anyone in particular. But they don't take any courses that would add to the credibility. For example, science courses, physics courses, religious courses, psychology courses. Anybody today who wants to buy a website, buy a domain name, and get a bunch of people together and call themselves Ghostbusters can do it. And that can't be very good for the industry. Oh, wait a minute. It is good for the industry because the industry is making a lot of money selling a lot of gimmicks, as well as the Paracon, this organization, that organization, this exhibit, that exhibit. It's gone from, and I think that this is where a lot of the problem lies when it comes to the credibility, it's turning into a money-making industry.
You're right, Rob. It is, and that's it's something that I don't like. We don't charge for anything, and we don't try to make any money.
You're there to make a positive difference.
We do have expenses that we incur, whether travel expenses or equipment expenses. Even keeping the website up is a cost to us.
Sure.
And yes, it is a moneymaker, and I do not agree with it. And I think it's hurting the true essence of ghost hunting. But it does, in another way, it does make more people aware of what's out there, what we're doing.
I don't know if that is good or bad, because, like you're saying, a lot of people. Well, with the new movies coming out, it's entertainment. A lot of the so-called reality shows are anything but reality. My goodness, I was watching one where you had the Ghostbuster or researcher taunting the spirits, being totally disrespectful.
Yes, and I think I know the show you're talking about, and I do not like that show myself because we don't approach investigations in that manner. I think it's disrespectful to try to taunt the ghost just so you can make yourself look good. And again, though, that's TV. They have to do something in order for it to be entertaining.
But where do you draw the line between? I've asked this to network executives. Where do you draw the line of calling something reality when it's nothing else but a bunch of bunk, and what you want to present the topic to the viewing audience of as. And you know what the answer was? Whatever makes money.
Right. You're absolutely right. Whatever makes money in their eyes.
And that is so sad. That is so sad.
It is. It is sad. I've been on a couple of reality shows, paranormal related reality shows, and on one of them I was asked to do something that was not true, so I refused to do it. So at that point they brought in a couple of actors who then did what they asked in order to get their show going. So, but I refused to do it. I was still on the episode, but not to the extent of being a ghost hunter, looking for some ghosts. I was more of I don't know.
No, let me tell you what you were. You're an honest person who does things in a respectful way, and you did not want to put your integrity on the line just for some ratings.
Exactly.
Hats off to you, my friend. Hats off to you. You and I have to take our final break. Please stand by, Frank. Exonation Frank RIGILLO is our special guest, and his website is www.specterseekers.com. That's www.specterseekers.com. And Frank and I will be back on the other side of this break as we wrap up this hour here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. You know, if there's any TV executives listening tonight, and I know there are 3 that listen to this show very closely, give the people the truth. Show them how a real investigation is done. And you know what? If nothing happens during the investigation, people will respect you, your network, and so will your advertisers. Truth sells in the long run. Lies don't. We'll be back on the other side. Don't go away.
Little children aren't the only ones afraid of the dark. Millions of soldiers return from war zones with PTSD, anger, frustration, fear, and loneliness, much of which surfaces during the darkness of the night. You have the chance to change the lives of these American heroes. Songs and Stories for Soldiers.us provides free MP3 players for these men and women. With a list of 3 million songs in 16 different styles, 100,000 audiobooks, and 30,000 old-time radio programs, every veteran can find something to soothe and comfort them at no cost. All our players contain an 8-hour audio program designed to help veterans fall asleep. With 1,500 plus vets now participating, it's our goal to deliver 10,000 audio players this year. Go to our website at songsandstoriesforsoldiers.us. Help us help a veteran make it through the night.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
You're listening to the X Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. If you enjoy reading a good mystery with a touch of the paranormal, then you'll love From Out of the Woodwork by William S. Peckham. Sean Kennedy, a Toronto contractor, buys derelict houses, guts them, and turns them into multi-family dwellings. When Sean buys 29 Livery Lane, a century house in ruins, and starts the renovation, the house fights back. He is visited by ghosts of owners past. His visions are triggered by touching an oak mantle, reading a faded letter, opening an old locket, or opening a brand new casket in the basement.
These visions will take you on a trip across southern Ontario from Niagara Falls to Toronto to Kingston. From Out of the Woodwork is now available in paperback and on your favorite electronic reader. To order your copy of From Out of the Woodwork, go to www.williamspeckham.com. That's www.williamspeckham.com. Frank Rigillo's my guest this hour. Frank is in New Jersey, and he and his team are called Spectre Seekers. Their website is spectreseekers.com. Frank, it's been great having you on the show, but maybe you can help me understand something. Why are they called Ghostbusters or Ghost Hunters? Because the way I look at it, when you hunt something, you kill it. They're already dead. And when you bust something, you arrest something. So how are you going to arrest a ghost?
That's a good question. I mean, Ghostbusters came out. I think that's a Hollywood term that came out. Ghost hunters. I mean, we are looking for something. I guess we're hunting to try to find something. The killing part, obviously, they're already dead. And just a term that came out. I don't know where it came from, but it seems to be a term that we use.
Yeah, I think ghost seekers would be a better one.
Or ghost investigators.
Yeah, there you go. Listen, Frank, what advice do you have for the members of the X-Zone Nation listening tonight who may be contemplating starting their own ghost investigation group?
Well, I would say if you do want to do that, make sure you really wholeheartedly want to do it and do it the right way. Get a group of like-minded individuals, who have a good sense of safety and responsibility and common sense. I mean, some people start with a group of friends, and some look into the internet to join other groups who already exist and up and running. Basically, have a good website is the best meaning for starting a new group. But when you do, make sure it's a professional website. Don't make it scary or bloody with skulls and any of that stuff. Make sure it's polished and easy to navigate and very professional. But unless you're really interested, just don't go out and start a ghost investigating group. We don't need a bunch of tire kickers out there doing something.
Yeah, and I bet you've seen your share of those in your day.
I have.
What has been your most disgusting moment that you've ever had as a ghost researcher when it comes to other members of the society?
I'm not sure.
Has there ever been a time when you've watched another group do something and you just feel like taking them by the shoulders and saying, "How can you be so stupid?"
Yeah, I've actually went to a lecture. Another paranormal group was giving a lecture. Everything they were giving was total BS. They had no idea what they were talking about, and they were contradicting themselves throughout the lecture. And I felt like just walking in there and saying something, but I was respectful. I said, "No, let it continue," and that group doesn't exist anymore, by the way.
What's you and your group up to this summer? Do you have anything special going on?
Absolutely. We partnered with a local park commission, and we are investigating they have 2 or 3 haunted locations that they're responsible for. So we go and do private investigations, and then we reveal it to them. And then they have what we call a paranormal evening, where they'll invite a few people over and to see what the results are. And it's a joint effort because they're trying to get more people interested in history and history of the property. And the way to draw them in is to get the paranormal involved.
And I've said this many times, Frank, that one of the most important things that credible organizations and ghost groups, hunters, societies, whatever you want to call them, is that they are New Age historians. You guys keep history alive.
Yeah.
Frank, I want to thank you so much for joining us. Take care of yourself. And X-Zone Nation, my guest this hour has been Frank Rigillo, and their website is spectreseekers.com. That's spectreseekers.com. I'll be back on the other side of this break with the news as we continue here in the X-Zone. from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Send me your emails, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. And once again, we're here Monday through Friday on the Mutual Broadcast Network, X Zone Broadcast Network, Talkstar Radio Network, and in Europe on Radio X. My name's Rob McConnell. Don't go away.